Often in classic movies and television and historical type fiction, you will see women knitting in the most odd and impossible way. Needles up, hands down, and knitting like their needles are on fire. This is called parlor knitting. And if you want to find out more about this technique, as well as what it is, keep watching. Hello and welcome to Killer Kitsch Lizzie, my weird little world where I like to knit and sew and do other crafty things and talk about weird styles of knitting. So in today's video, we are going to talk about the history of parlor knitting. So if you watch television or movies that are either classic and women are knitting, or if you're watching historical movies and television, if you see some, it's not always, but often you will see women knitting in a very odd way than what we would normally knit today. And that style of knitting is called parlor knitting. And there's a reason why it's called that. There's an association to the word parlor. So in Victorian homes, generally, there would be a room called the parlor. That is a room that you would either accept your guests into prior to maybe having dinner with them or something like that. Or it might be a room where you entertain for like afternoon tea. Or have an afternoon event with I don't know, friends or neighbors or whatnot. So that is partially why parlor knitting is related to that term, because from my research, the term parlor knitting, or that style of knitting, actually was invented during the Victorian era. Now, before I get into the history of it, I do want to talk a little bit about what the different types or styles of knitting are. A couple of them are how we generally knit today, and then a couple I'm going to mention are a little more unusual and not maybe used as often, but they are definitely used. So what styles are used today? These are usually English knitting or continental. And with English knitting, you're throwing the yarn, and I don't have knitting with me at the moment. I should have brought it with me. But basically when you're knitting, I'm going to get my chopsticks out because I'm going to need these to show you parlor knitting. But basically, when you're knitting, when you're throwing yarn, you have your needle that you're working with in one hand, and then where your yarn is coming from in the other hand. And what you're doing is you're the stitch as you go, as opposed to throwing it. Apparently continental knitting is faster than English, but I can't get my hands to work to do continental, and I was actually taught English style by my grandmother. And my mom knits that way, both of my grandmothers knit that way. I think almost everybody I know personally, with the exception of maybe a couple people, knit English. I do have a couple of friends that do knit continental, and I don't know how they do it. So there's a couple other styles of knitting that are used, but they're not as popular as those two. Portuguese knitting is another one, and I wish I had my knitting here with me. I do not. I have it in the other room. I should have brought it here, but in Portuguese knitting, how your tension is being held rather than your hand is you have a piece of yarn draped around your neck, and that's where the tension is being kept for your knitting. And then there's Norwegian knitting, And with Norwegian knitting, the stitches are always, when you have your 2 knitting needles, always push close to the tip. So you're knitting with the stitches very close to the tip when you're knitting. That's not how you hold your knitting needles, by the way. I do know how to knit. I have videos about it. So just a little better explanation. In English knitting, you're throwing the yarn, and what that means is the yarn is held in your right hand, and you throw and wrap it around the knitting needle, and then you form your stitch. Continental knitting is also known as picking up the yarn, and this is when you have the yarn held in your left hand, very similar to when you're crocheting, as I just said, and then you'd pick it up as you're knitting. And then I've already explained Portuguese and Norwegian. And then there is another couple of more styles. Armenian knitting, which I actually use when I'm doing color work. And it is a way to ensure that you don't have really long floats. Like you twist the yarn a certain way as you're knitting. And then, of course, there is the wonderful ferrule knitting, which again is color work, and that does tend to have long floats sometimes. But the way it is knit again, and usually when you're doing ferrule, you're probably knitting in wool, and wool will felt itself over time. And then there's intarsia, where you have a whole bunch of different balls of thread to ensure that you have no floats at all in the back. There is also a version of Armenian intarsia, Armenian intarsia, which that's what I use a lot when I'm doing color work. Now this brings us to parlor knitting and the history. They say that parlor knitting was an invention of the Victorian era. During this period of time, Victorian women were now able to spend their days doing leisurely activity. And now when I say this, it was women who were more middle and upper class. Everyday women were not able to do this. If they were knitting, it was out of necessity. And because of that, these women that were doing it for leisure, you know, as a hobby, wanted to make sure that they were doing it in a way that showed that it was not done for necessity, it was done for fun. So for many of them, knitting became like a competition or a performance piece. And that would also show in their garments. They weren't just knitting like a plain shawl or a plain scarf or a plain sweater. They were making sure that they had intricate stitches, and their garments ended up being quite fancy. Also, they were able to afford much finer yarns, wools and silks and higher end types of yarns and wools, whereas, you know, an everyday woman, their yarn was not as nice, not as soft. It sometimes was even like repurposed from a garment that couldn't be worn any longer for a multitude of reasons. And this was another thing that sort of showed the difference between the two styles of knitting, or the two levels of knitting, if you want. Knitting was also a way to show that they had good virtue and a good moral standing in society, because, you know, you want to make sure you have good moral standing. Only good women would knit garments like baby bonnets or beautiful shawls to drape over their nightgowns, or their gorgeous, stunning handmade dresses. There were also mottos going around at this time, which was like idle hands, idle minds, and, you know, you got to keep busy, right? So that was another reason why these women were not just sitting around eating pastries all day. And you know, the fact that these women were knitting or doing embroidery as well, but knitting, you know, either on their own or in knitting groups showed that they were keeping themselves out of trouble. But I have to say though, I've been in knitting groups before and we got into trouble, so sometimes. Good trouble though. It was always a good way to escape from home, get into groups, and of course, gossip. Which actually goes against the whole moral thing, but you know. Women of this class would also be given the luxury of, as I just mentioned, buying finer yarns, and you know, women would not have that ability or financial luxury to do that. So, but now back to parlor knitting. It's often a style of knitting I would love to learn. It in continental, I just need to get my hands to work. It's practice, I get that. It is a muscle memory thing. I'll get there. Also, I cannot find my straight needles. I tidied up my yarn 6 months ago, 8 months ago, something like that. Had to sort out, got rid of stuff I didn't, yarn odds and ends that I wasn't using. And I know I put them away somewhere because I have all of my knitting needles, my straight needles are vintage, or some of them are actually antiques. And I would not have given them away, and I don't know where I put them, and I cannot find them. So for this next little bit, I am going to use chopsticks. These are long cooking chopsticks. To sort of, to my best ability, show you what parlor knitting might look like. I don't have yarn again. I put it away in another room, and I should have grabbed it before I started filming, and I don't want to get up and get it. I'm being a little lazy right now, but so basically, when you're knitting, you know, English style, your needles are down under here like this, or sometimes they're, depending, continental, I think, I can't remember. Anyways, but English, your knitting needles are down when you're knitting, like so. In parlor knitting, your needles were up like this, or one was up and one was like this. And they rested on top of your hands. And again, the yarn would be wrapped around, I think it was your left hand, if I remember correctly. And your hand was usually out, and the tension would be in this hand. And similar to continental knitting, you would be picking up the stitches as you knit. And there are clips of needles like this. I can't figure it out. Because when I knit, my needles are down here. But that is how they would hold their needles. And knitting super fast. Like, I don't understand. Anyways, I'm going to figure it out. And if you want to learn parlor knitting, and if I get enough interest, I will actually find my straight needles. Because I don't think you're going to be able to do this with circular needles, because I do tend to use circular now. One of the reasons I put my knitting needles away is because circular is a little easier on my hands. A lot of people have said that, because I do find when I'm using straight needles, I find that because they're so long, the hard part is so long, it does dig into my hands a bit, and I knit for long periods of time, and I just was getting uncomfortable. But as I said, if you want to learn parlor knitting, and if I get enough interest, I will figure out how to do it, and I will do a tutorial. Because I do want to learn how to do it, because it looks so bizarre. The other thing is, like I said, my grandma taught me how to knit English style, and she's not with us any longer. She's, passed away quite a while ago, and when I asked my mom about parlor knitting, she has no clue at all about how to do it, and I mean, don't even know if my grandmother does, actually. My grandma Betty would have known. I'm sure she would have seen people doing it, so she would have known at least what it was, but you know, days like now, I wish she was around so I could ask her those questions. And maybe she knew how to do it. I don't know. But yeah, I will learn. If you want me to learn, I will learn and we'll do a tutorial. So that was a short video about the history of parlor knitting. I hope you found that interesting, or as interesting as I do. And let me know, what is your style of knitting? Is it English, continental, any of the other ones I listed? Do you know how to parlor knit? Or do you know somebody that can parlor knit? Because I would love to pick your brain. So yeah, comment below and let me know. So that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give me a thumbs up, comment below as I mentioned, and subscribe. I would love it if you were part of my channel. Still, I have more people that are not subscribed versus subscribed watching my videos. I mean, a large portion of viewers are not subscribed, and if you do subscribe, you get alerted to when I put up my weekly videos. So, until next time, stay kitschy. Bye!